Okay, here are the solutions to the dilations questions. The first one says we've got a triangle with the following vertices. A is at 4, 2, B is at 6, 6, C is at 8, 4. We're asked to perform a dilation with a scale factor of 2 and a center of dilation at 1, 1. We're asked what are the coordinates of the image vertices A prime, B prime, and C prime. So we've drawn the original triangle here, and I've put on the center of dilation in red at 1, 1. In order to find the vertices of the image after the dilation, we're going to start off figuring out what the vector is from the center of dilation to each of the vertices. So starting with vertex A, we're going to look at the vector that takes us from the center of dilation to that vertex A. To get there, it's going over 3 and up 1. So the vector that gets us from the center of dilation to vertex A is 3, 1. How about vertex B? Using the same approach, we want to get from the center of dilation out to vertex B. To get there, we can see that we're going over 5 more. So we're at 1, we're getting to 6, so that's over 5. And then again, we're starting at 1 and we're going up to 6, so that's also 5. So the vector that gets us from the center of dilation to vertex B is 5, 5. And similarly with C, to go from the center of dilation to C, that's the vector we're looking for. So that says we're going over 7 more, so we're going from 1 to 8, which is 7, and then from 1 up to 4, which is 3. So the vector that gets us from the center of dilation to C is 7, 3. Now we're applying a scale factor of 2, so we're going to double the length of that vector. So to double the length of the vector, we double the x and y components of that vector. So the A vector 3, 1, we're going to double that, and we end up with the vector that's going to take us to A prime is going to be 6, 2. Similarly, the vector that will take us to B prime is going to be 10, 10, and the vector that will take us to C prime is 14, 6. So looking at the A prime vector, we're going to go over 6 and up 2, which takes us to 7, 3. So that is our A prime. For B prime, we're going to go over 10 and up 10. So we're starting at 1, 1. We're going over 10, so we're over to 11 and up to 11. And for C prime, we're going over 14, so that takes us to 15, and up 6, which takes us to 7. And we can join each of those vertices, form the image, and there we have it. Now we have the image, and we can see that the final vertices, A prime, 7, 3, B prime was at 11, 11, and C prime was at 15, 7. In this question, we're starting off with the same center of dilation and the same original triangle with the same vertices. The only difference is now that we have a scale factor of 1/2 instead of 2. So we'll start off with the same vectors that get us from the center of dilation to each of the vertices, right? So we've got each of those vectors. That's what we've got listed over here. But now instead of multiplying by 2, we're multiplying by 1/2, or dividing each of these by 2. So the vector that's going to get us to A prime is going to be 3 over 2, or 1/2, 1.5. So we'll just leave it as 3 over 2. And then 1 divided by 2 is going to give us 1/2. For B, the vector that gets us to B prime is going to be 5 over 2. And the vector that gets us to C prime is going to be 7 over 2. So starting with this first vector, we're going to go over 3 over 2, which is over 1.5. So we're starting at our center of dilation, and we're going over 1, over another 1/2, and then up 1/2. So it's going to take us to right there. B prime says we're going over 5 over 2. So we're going to the right 5 over 2, which is 2.5. So we're starting here, we're going over 2.5 and up 2.5, which takes us to there. And C prime says we're going over to the right 7 over 2, and 7 over 2 is the same as 3.5. Starting from our center of dilation, we're going 1, 2, 3.5 and then up 3 over 2, which is up 1.5, put us right there. And we connect those with lines. So the vertices of A prime we said was 2.5, 1.5. B prime is 3.5, 3.5. And C prime is 4.5, 2.5. Remember, the check to make sure that we've got everything done properly is that we should be able to draw a straight line from the center of dilation through each of the vertices of the image to the original. So when we start at the center of dilation, we should go through A prime on our way to A. Similarly, we should go through B prime on our way to B, and we should go through C prime on our way to C. So those green lines give us a pretty good indication that we've created the image correctly. In the third question, again we're working with the same triangle and the same center of dilation, but this time our scale factor is -2. We start with the same 3 original vectors, which are taking us from the center of dilation to each of the vertices. This time, however, we're going to be multiplying by a scale factor of -2. So to get to A prime, the vector that's going to get us there is -6, -2. For B prime, the vector that's going to get us to B prime is -10, -10. And the vector that's going to get us from the center of dilation to C prime is going to be -14, -6. So to get to A prime, we're going to start at the center of dilation, and this time we're going to go -6. So we're moving to the left 6 spaces, which takes us to -5, and then down 2, which takes us to -1. For B prime, we're going left 10 spaces, which takes us to -9, and then down 10, which also takes us down to -9. And to get to C prime, it says we're going left 14 spaces, which takes us to -13, and down 6, which takes us to -5. And we can connect each of those vertices together. And we can see that when we do a dilation with a scale factor of -2, we're getting the shape doubles in size, so that's the 2 component of it. But the negative is also getting it to do a rotation. So you can see that here the B was on top, and now the B prime has moved to the bottom. So that's really the key thing to note here, is when you have the negative sign on your scale factor, it's going to cause the shape to do a rotation, as well as a translation where it moved on the grid and it increased in size.